A huge polar bear spotted a female with a bear cub. The male began to chase them, but underestimated the cunning and strength of the bear. To protect the cub from a bloodthirsty enemy, she lured the bear up a steep slope, and then with powerful blows on the snow crust dropped a huge snowdrift on the enemy's head. The bear fell down, and the female and her baby got enough time to break away from the enemy. And today we will show you other cases in which females demonstrate incredible courage and resourcefulness to save their cubs. When an elephant and her cub were swimming to cool off on a hot African day, they angered some hippos. These are aggressive territorial animals that do not like uninvited guests. It is difficult for them to cope with an adult elephant, but her baby hippos could simply drown. However, angering the elephant was a very big mistake. A 5-ton angry female went to intercept the hippos and attacked them with all her might. Hippos are also large, but they are about twice as inferior to an elephant. The angry female towers over them like a living mountain. She rams enemies from a running start, crashes into them with her head, and stabs them with long, sharp tusks. The hippopotamuses quickly realized that they had made a mistake in choosing an opponent. Attacking the baby elephant was a big mistake. The mother's rage increased the already huge forces, so the elephant literally scattered the enemies, turning them into a stampede. They will remember this lesson for a long time. Maybe hippos consider themselves the masters of the local territory, but when elephants are here, you need to behave more modestly. The elephant and her baby get safely ashore. The formidable female walks, scanning the surroundings, ready at any moment to rush at the enemy who dared to cast at least one sidelong glance at her treasure. And the baby elephant tries to keep up and stomps after his mother. It's a nice picture, isn't it? Wouldn't you agree that this is effective, and effectively the elephant managed to protect her cub deserves your like, right? In fact, these predators are much faster, and faster than it might seem at first glance. In a matter of seconds, the bear approached the female moose with 2 cubs almost within striking distance. A little more and he will attack the ungulates. If the moose herself has a chance to break away from the chase, then with 2 kids, no. Is it really the only chance to survive by leaving the kids? Except the bear doesn't know who he's messing with. The moose does not even think about running. She does a 180 and goes into a frontal attack directly onto the bear. The predator is shocked, but the ramming it can take down a moose and kill it. But the situation here is unusual. The ungulate is almost 1.5 times larger than the predator, and the female does not care about the claws and fangs of its enemy. She is ready to ram her opponent and trample him, even if she has to pay with her life in battle, having received fatal damage. But the bear, on the other hand, is clearly not ready to risk his life for just a hearty meal. He retreats. And not once, but twice, because when the predator tries to start chasing again, he has to retreat again. This will not work to make the female panic. She knows who she's fighting for. The male leopard decides to get rid of his competitors in advance, while they are still helpless kittens. The predator finds a den in a tree and notices that the kids were there alone. The leopard quickly climbed up the pole in an attempt to get the kittens with its fangs. But at the last moment, the female came to the aid of her offspring. She noticed the threat in time and flew up a tree with lightning speed, after which she grabbed the enemy, and both predators fell down from a height of about the 2nd floor. Pay attention to how brutally the female throws a more powerful and massive male. In a rage, the predator is ready to fight the enemy to the fatal end. Fighting on the ground is difficult, as both predators are nimble enough to easily survive such a fall. The leopards immediately cling to each other, using all their skill. It remains to be hoped that everything will be fine with the mother and her offspring. A fairly large dog was out walking when he noticed a small kitten. Approaching him was a big mistake. When it comes to protecting offspring, the most ordinary domestic cat can instantly turn into a dangerous fury. The dog's owner probably regretted that he even allowed the animal to approach the outsider kitten. An angry mother who ran into an offender does not care about the superiority of the enemy in mass, strength, and size. She wants to punish those who dared to disturb her baby. It feels like the laws of physics are suddenly being turned off. The cat literally swoops on a 5 times larger dog, ignoring gravity and inertia, pummels it with the fury of a berserker, and with such terrible results as if the claws of a cat are made of steel. She rams the opponent, putting the weight of her whole body into the blow, bites, and in 1 second strikes a whole series of blows with her paws. At the same time, the cat targets vulnerable points in the opponent's body, in the muzzle, the eyes, and the ears. She tears the skin, trying to cause maximum damage and as much pain as possible. It seems that the cat is not just driving away the dog, but just wants to destroy it. Here, the Doberman just sniffed the kitten and clearly did not cause him any harm. But the mother cat didn't like this anyway. She goes on the frontal attack. Look at the boldness and audacity with which such a small animal steps on such a strong dog. The cat comes up, assesses the condition of her cub, then turns on the Doberman and hits him in the face with her claws. The dog flies back in surprise. Can you imagine what a cat would do to him if he harmed her baby? It's even getting scary. Here, the kitten was attacked by 3 dogs at once. The hunting instinct woke up in them at the wrong time. They noticed the fright of the inexperienced young animal, began barking, pushing it up against the wall, and gradually squeezing the ring in around its victim. The kitten is shocked by such pressure. Do you feel sorry for him? Well, you'd better take pity on the dogs then, because they do not know who they're messing with. Suddenly, the kitten's mother appears, attacking the cheeky dogs from the rear. The cat rushes at one of the enemies and digs its claws and fangs into its hind legs. The dog falls to the floor in surprise. The dog, inflamed with hunting excitement, tries to switch to the cat, but several ferocious blows that almost knocked out their eyes immediately cool the dog's ardor. The cat was able to put 3 opponents to flight, each of whom was about 4 times larger. Now that's a feat. For African animals, night is not only a time for sleep, but also for the most decisive battles between predators and their prey. This nighttime footage confirms just how much is happening in a relatively small area at night. Hyenas are looking for carrion, lions roam in search of bigger prey, a porcupine decides to sleep, but from time to time is disturbed by predators who need to be punched in the face with needles so that they fall back. Finally, a young lion with a small mane and his sister find prey to their liking. This is a young hippopotamus. The animal is quite large and strong, despite its young age. You gotta admit, when a cub weighs about 1/4 of a ton, it's difficult to call it a baby, even despite its young age. The young lions are having a hard time knocking it to the ground, and the hippopotamus is desperately resisting. But still, against the clawed predators, which are already gradually coming into force, this cub will not stand. Lions act decisively and aggressively, and the mighty young lion grabs the hippo's ears with his fangs, which are his vulnerable zone. The lioness also makes an important contribution to the victory. The claws grab the target, the teeth gradually cover the thick, durable skin of the hippo. A few more minutes and he will be almost finished off, after which the young lions will get lunch for the next couple of days. But the female hippo comes to the rescue at the very last moment. Her cub lasted long enough for her to hear and rush to his call. If you think that the hippos accustomed to the underwater lifestyle on land are becoming slow, just look at the speed with which the female hippopotamus rushes at its enemies. She just runs into them like a truck. The cub hides behind the mother while the female decides to deal with the aggressors. The lions have to retreat. An adult hippopotamus is too much for them. A similar incident happened here in the afternoon. This baby hippo is really small. It was recently born and is completely helpless against large predators, so it probably wouldn't even last a few seconds. Charming, isn't it? It's hard to believe that in a couple of years it will turn into a giant weighing about 3 tons, isn't it? But that won't be happening anytime soon. Now the mother has to constantly keep him with her, because at that age her cub is a tasty prey for any enemy. For example, a crocodile. The female hippopotamus noticed in time that the reptile was showing unhealthy interest in her baby, and furiously rushed at the enemy. She easily drove away the crocodile, but a lioness was watching this scene. The cub is so small that even one predatory cat is able to cope with it in just a few seconds. The lioness's plan is simple: to rush at the little hippopotamus while her mother is far away, bite the victim's throat, and rush away before the enraged mother tramples on it. Then it will be possible to return to the hunting site after, when the female, upset by the loss of her cub, just leaves. However, the plan fails. The mother is on the alert. The female hippopotamus quickly returns to the cub and intercepts the lioness before she could get close enough to her cub. Raising whole waves, a huge hippopotamus almost catches the lioness. If a predator had fallen into the mouth of an angry female, she would have broken the cat just like a straw. The cat retreats. The female hippo saved her cub from 2 different predators in a row in less than a few minutes. The case when a cobra attacked a hen with chickens, pinning them in a hopeless place, was quite famous due to the unexpected outcome of this dramatic conflict. After all, instead of killing and eating all the chickens and the chicken at the same time, the cobra received the most painful lesson it's ever had. An angry chicken suddenly turned from a calm hen bird into a living tornado. She attacked the venomous snake with an unexpected fury, flying at it many times from different angles and from different sides. Although the cobra could have dealt with such an opponent with a single bite, the venomous teeth never touched the flesh of the bird. The hen managed to repel the snake's attack, push the chickens away from the wall, and constantly beat the enemy herself, using both beak and claws. The episode impresses with its intensity and cool action, so it's not surprising that it's famous. But if you thought he was unique, you're wrong. It turns out that for many of the most ordinary chickens, such incredible fighting qualities are the norm. This chicken seems to be worried at all about the cobra, which has already risen with its collar open. The bird delivers a powerful blow to the snake's head. The reptile isn't shocked. She was stunned by a seemingly helpless bird. The snake freezes in place for a while, and the chicken, instead of trying to evacuate the chickens from a remote corner, simply pushed the kids away from the snake and calmly began to look for food, clean the fluff of one of the chickens of hers, rake the soft litter with its paws. The cobra did not expect such neglect, and it turned out that the chicken had quite objectively assessed its strength. After all, when the cobra decided to continue the attack, it immediately got it in the face. The chicken tore the snake's head to the side, threw it away with one powerful blow to the body, and when the snake crawled too close, pecked it right in the nose. And there was nothing the cobra could do. She did not have time to counterattack under such overwhelming pressure. The constant beating of her wings confused the snake, and the sharp claws and beak caused pain. The chickens can be completely calm, but the mom won't let the snake even get close to them with impunity. Moreover, in order to effectively defend against a venomous snake, a chicken does not even need a lot of room for maneuvering. Here the birds were hatching their eggs when the cobra crawled as close as possible to the strike distance. There are only a few inches between the bird's neck and the reptile's venomous teeth, but the chicken doesn't even think to get up and maneuver. Even lying down, she can fight against a snake, which can take down a bull with one well-aimed bite. The chicken suddenly and with lightning speed hits the reptile right in the face, and the snake is stunned but counterattacks. The chicken meets the throw with its beak again and forces the reptile to retreat. The bird didn't even have to stop hatching eggs to let this cobra know how much she had made a mistake in choosing a victim. The leopard kitten's game with his mom looks really cute, doesn't it? A mighty predator, the very sight of which makes all ungulates in Africa shudder, gently and carefully licks her baby while he climbs over her, plays, pokes her mother with his muzzle. But if you think that family life has made a predator soft, then you are wrong. A huge hyena appeared to take away from the leopard the most precious thing for a cat ever, its offspring. A big mistake, for which the brazen robber will pay for the rest of his life. The female leopard rushes furiously at the hyena, from which in other circumstances she would most likely just run away. But for the sake of protecting the kitten, the predatory cat swiftly attacks an almost twice as massive enemy and demolishes it with powerful blows of its paws, and then grabs its head with its fangs. It will not be possible to deal with the hyena because she desperately fights back, finally realizing who she is dealing with. But painful scars and an almost bitten off ear will remind the scavenger that the kittens of this predatory cat are under serious protection. The baby elephant fell into a pit with water and steep edges. The baby is alive and well, but is in danger and will not last long in there. Fortunately, people found him and decided to come to the rescue because there were no relatives of the animal anywhere to be found. A small excavator was brought in, which pushed the animal up with a bucket, but people underestimated the zeal of elephants and their love for their babies. It turned out that the elephant, even though she could not get the cub out of its trap itself, refused to let the equipment past the cub. And this can be understood. Imagine what the situation looks like from the elephant's point of view. The cub is in trouble, it cannot be helped alone, although the female is desperately trying to do so. And then he turns around and sees a metal monster that thrusts its terrible toothy limb right into the baby. Of course, the elephant attacked. People didn't know who they were messing with. It turns out that the elephants are so powerful that they can even fight with construction equipment on almost equal terms. It resembles an episode from some fantastic blockbuster about the struggle of giant robots with no less gigantic monsters. Although the multi-ton elephant is very strong, nobody expected success from it. After all, the excavator moves massive and heavy loads. But the elephant turned out to be so strong that she threw away the bucket and tried to gore the equipment. The excavator weighs an order of magnitude more than the animal, and it is noticeably larger and should have scared the elephant. But no, the female fights with frenzied zeal. And only when she realizes that she will not be able to crush the equipment, she goes into the jungle. The problem is that she's coming for help. When she returns with the rest of the herd, the excavator will turn into scrap metal. Fortunately, the situation ended well. The driver of the car acted very carefully and tried not to cause the elephant not only damage, but even discomfort. At even the same time, he worked quickly because the elephant could return at any minute. And the worker managed to do so. The rescue operation was crowned with success, the baby was released, and he returned joyfully and a little bit shocked to his caring and willing mother. Their reunion looks so touching, doesn't it? You even forget that this monster almost crushed an excavator just now. It seems that the animal realized that this cub was saved, and so he no longer gets into a fight. Which means that the people lucked out. Celebrity bodyguards should learn the art of guarding from this female rhino right here. She and her little cub were attacked by hyenas. Predators act very thoughtfully. They surround the target in a spiral. One hyena distracts attention and makes a fake lunge, while the other attacks from the side, trying to remain unnoticed until the fatal finale. The female has to constantly spin in order not to lose sight of her predators. This was supposed to distract the adult rhino, make it break into a run, panic, and chase after one hyena while the other dealt with the cub. But the predators' plan failed. The mother turned out to be not only fierce and brave, but also quite cold-blooded. She keeps her distance perfectly. When necessary, it drives away enemies who approach too closely, but at the same time constantly maintains close contact with the baby. He is the center of her dangerous dance, and thanks to this, the female manages to stop every attack and every throw of the hyenas, getting in the way of the aggressor and protecting the baby with her own huge body. Usually rhinos use ramming attacks, but this time the female is not a battering ram, but a powerful and impenetrable shield behind which her baby feels completely safe. So what do you think? Would you like to have such a cool bodyguard? The treacherous jackal was able to sneak up on a family of gazelles unnoticed, after which he attacked a newly born baby. Fortunately, his mom was there. She drove off the predator and ran after him until the jackal realized that if the female gets underneath the hooves, she will leave only red spots on the grass. The mother returns to the baby, who was lying on the ground. Was he hurt? Fortunately, no, it's just that the cub has been through stress. Do you see just how deep he's breathing? But his mother's support and touching care helps him come to his senses, and here he is on his feet again. It's such a lovely scene, isn't it? In order to be able to run at a speed of about 70 miles per hour, the cheetah had to give up a lot of physical weight. Therefore, although outwardly it seems that a leopard and a cheetah are predators of approximately the same size, this is not the case. A taller, thin-boned cheetah is about twice as light as a squat, but muscular and quite powerful leopard. At the same time, although the leopard avoids injury in battle with other carnivores, it can afford to take risks, because it hunts from ambush. Even with a wounded paw, he will be able to jump onto a gazelle from a tree. But the cheetah relies entirely on sprinting. If he can't run, he's in danger of starvation. Therefore, he often runs away from a stronger enemy. And if a leopard does catch a runner, it usually defeats her due to incredible agility and greater impact force, into which the predator puts not only rage, but also body weight. However, this female cheetah is not going to back down when an aggressive leopard attacks her kittens. A fast and ferocious cat attacks a predator and pounces on it, despite all the risks. An exchange of blows, grapples, and now the enemies are rolling on the ground. Fortunately, there were no dangerous injuries, and the mother managed to defend the kittens. The leopard received several sensitive blows, but is completely unharmed and able to continue the fight. Therefore, the female cheetah attacks the leopard several times, showing him that victory will not be easy. As a result, kittens help the mother. They have only entered adolescence and do not pose a serious threat to a mature predator. But when their mother once again grappled with the enemy, the kittens attacked the leopard. He did not expect such family unity, so he is finally forced to retreat. Which case of saving cubs by their mother struck you today the most? Share your impressions in the comments section below this video, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel to see even more amazing videos from the life of animals.